Hello, and thank you for joining my BIP chat with Matt Turner. And today we're going to be talking about marketing, a very critical subject. How creative are you in your business? What sort of things are you doing? And we're going to inspire you with some case studies and some knowledge that I hope will be really helpful to you. Let me just explain, first of all, a little bit about BIP and why we call it BIP Chat. BIP stands for Business is Personal. And Thomas and I that started working in 1998 in the world of supporting business owners have always believed that business is personal. Your personal life impacts your business impacts your personal. And I also think that we're in an age where emotional intelligence is becoming so critical to build trust, and who you are and is as important as the what you do. So in these chats, I really want you to get a feeling for the values and the attitudes and the mindset of the experts that we bring to you. Now, one of the things that I know as a business owner is finding suppliers can be really tough. You know that you can Google something and find loads of people that can say they can do it. You can maybe reach into your network a little bit. But finding people who have the what and the who bit, I think, is really, really important. Vitally knowing that they have a good track record of credentials and really good values. And so by bringing great experts to you, we feel that we can shortcut some of the pain that you might have in looking for people who are going to help you grow your business. So today, the subject is marketing. And Matt Turner is the owner of Creative Pod. They're in their 18th year now. They have some of the most fantastic clients. They work on a retainer basis with their clients. And Matt was just sharing with me that, if you look at the 100% of his clients, 20% of them are startups, 60% are 1 to 20 million pound owner managed companies, 10% charity and 10% global blue chip. And we're going to talk about a couple of campaigns that got me really excited, actually, when we were talking about it. One of the things that we love about Matt is also his incredible commitment to his philanthropy and the work that he does and the charities he supports and the charities he's patron in. So we're going to come to that as well. So here we are, Matt. Great to be talking to you. Thank you for your time. I think we've got about half an hour together, which is really exciting for me. I've given a little bit of a top of the show thing, but let's start off with back in 2016, you started Creative Pod.
2006.
2006, I mean, sorry, 18 years ago.
18 years ago, yeah.
I've just screwed up my own maths there. What was going on? How come you started that back then?
That's a really good, I mean, I was 21 at the time. I'd left school at 16. I'd had 3 jobs under my belt by then, started as a T-boy, worked my way up in a predominantly design business. And you know what? I was just fed up of working for people who I just wasn't aligned to. You got to remember, back in 2006, the world was still semi-analog from a marketing perspective. Yeah. Google was very new. We were still using Yahoo and Lycos and Alta Vista. And I can remember at that very specific point sitting down with my then employer saying, let's start a digital team. And I was told it was just a fad. So I resigned and I started Creative Pod in my bedroom. I trained as a designer, albeit not a very good graphic designer. But that's essentially how I started, by doing design work, farming out the print. Then marketing started to come into it. It was more than just the direct marketing and email marketing and things like that. The digital revolution really started from a comms perspective, and the litmus paper was lit, I guess.
Yeah. So you've really watched that whole journey. You have a great team that works for you. Something I notice is you are so, although you've got a very good sized company, you have a lot of intimacy with your clients. You're very close to your clients, aren't you? That part is important to you, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think if anyone's ever considering hiring a marketing agency, a lawyer, accountant, any sort of professional service, how much they charge is actually almost irrelevant. And the quality of their work, they wouldn't be doing what they were doing for that period of time if the work wasn't good. The thing that you have to focus on is the relationship. And if you've got a phenomenal relationship with your supplier, who should actually effectively be a partner, then you're going to create really successful things together. And I always sort of say to our clients, all the time both of us are making money, we'll always be the best drinking buddies.
Yeah.
But when a campaign doesn't work or something doesn't happen like we thought it would, that's when the relationship and the value in the relationship really kind of comes into its own. And that's where the magic happens. So we're
Yeah.
super tight. Like we this year, as part of our 18th celebration, we're doing an ultimate networking weekend where we're going to take about 100 clients to North Devon for a bit of an adventure, team building, good food, good wine, networking.
Oh,
And we really encourage that kind of peer-to-peer networking because it's how you add value to your clients.
oh, absolutely amazing connections for one another.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. So yeah, so whilst you've got this team and all these specializations within it, I am really aware of how close you stay to each of the campaigns. Now we're going to talk about a couple of that are really exciting, but what things that are quite big. And because you said, 10% are global blue chip type companies, large companies. But I want you to, if you're listening to this, realize that Matt's got a lot that his company offers to startups and small businesses.
And
And you all have
charities.
to start somewhere. So please stick with us. Don't sort of think, oh, well, I'm not one of those. But I want to talk about it because it's so fascinating from a campaign point of view. So you had the contract to sell 60,000 tickets for, or get 60,000 tickets sold for the World Cup last year. Tell us a little bit about that campaign.
Yeah, I mean, that was a partnership between Norwegian Cruise Line, the Rugby World Cup, and a company called Infinity Sports Travel, who are a sports travel broker essentially. And it was an amazing product, 5-star, all-inclusive cruise ship based out of Marseille, with lots of celebrity rugby players on board. And then it also included tickets to the game, and then the boat sailed to Ibiza and Corsica and other places across the Med, Italy, and people paid for week-long stays plus rugby tickets essentially. And it was a roaring success. It was a really good product, first time they'd ever done it. And now they are looking at implementing and rolling that out to other sports, from football to Formula One, tennis. Yeah, it's really exciting.
And it went really well. And actually,
Yeah.
you told me the price, was it around £2,500?
Yeah, 2.5, 3 grand. Yeah.
That's quite a brilliant price. I mean, I know
Yeah.
some people might think, goodness me, where'd you get that money? But to people who are really committed to something, that's a really
Yeah.
achievable
I mean, if you think if
price.
you can spend £1,000 on a hotel and dinner in
Yeah.
London and a show in London,
Gosh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So now what I'm excited about is the one coming up in November, because now if you're sort of you haven't started the campaign on it. So we're talking about this quite early on, but this is fantastic for the Formula One in Qatar.
in Qatar,
Wow,
yeah.
it's about that.
Yeah, very similar product actually. But rather than being on a boat, you're in a hotel, and it's flights, accommodation, breakfast, a sporting F1 Legends lunch, um, and then you see practice, quali, the race, and then sort of an after party. And again, that's I think 2,995 a head, something like that.
Absolutely.
Um,
The
yeah,
flights and
so flights included, hotel, the whole lot. So, and you
amazing.
get some winter sun.
Yeah.
And because it's a corporate, you can put it through your books.
Yeah, no,
It's a
absolutely.
corporate lunch.
It is
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. So the reason I'm intrigued by these is because often, I mean, these are campaigns effectively. I know
yeah,
you're on a retainer with large companies and everything, but these are the campaigns within those.
yeah.
They're looking at how can we market something very exciting. And when you're doing that, what are the critical elements of your marketing that make those work?
Is it priced correctly?
All right.
Sometimes if something's too cheap, people won't buy it because they
Yeah, I
think it's a
get that.
scam. So yeah, there's a balance and a dichotomy between getting it too low or too high. Ironically, the more expensive something is, the better people perceive it to be. And that obviously isn't always the case. So price is critical. Then the product, do people actually want that product? Does it work logistically? And is the product good enough for the price that you're selling? Um, who's your audience? That's probably one of the most important things. Um, knowing who your audience is, knowing where they hang out, and then knowing how to hit them and reach them. And just as a starting point, if you get those three things correct, the chances of your marketing being successful tenfold. They are literally the principles.
That takes me
And
back
I
to
always,
I did a Institute of Marketing diploma. That was Kotler, wasn't it?
yeah,
Kotler that taught us those P's.
The P's,
Yeah,
the marketing P's. We
yeah,
tend to use for a client, we tend to use a methodology championed by the Chartered Institute of Marketing called the SOSTAT model, which
right.
basically takes a snapshot of where you are now, where you want to be, and then the journey to get
Yeah,
to
right.
that end point. But I always say to our clients, especially the new ones, marketing should always be painful. It should never be pleasurable. And I always relate it to kind of weightlifting. When you start weightlifting for the very first time, lifting 20 kilos is painful. And then
Yeah,
a year later, you're lifting 100 kilos and it's just as painful.
yeah.
And that's good. That's healthy.
Yeah, yeah. And when we were talking about this show in advance, we were talking about how do you get to the right audience, and you're obviously using all the social media channels. You're using AdWords, but you also shared about Sky, and I didn't know this about my Sky box. Just share
Yeah,
about
I
the
mean,
Sky
Sky
box.
have a product called Sky Ad Smart, and it's a bit like Google Pay Per Click, but it's television adverts. So all of the television adverts that you see on your Sky TV when you're watching it are tailored to you. So I always say to my wife, if she sees DFS ads, she knows I've had a bad quarter, and if she sees sophrology ads, we're doing all right. And also you'll now notice, so when we got back from the Rugby World Cup,
Yeah.
we then started to get adverts for Viking cruises and Norwegian, Icelandic fjord cruises and
But
Disney
they're pulling
cruises.
data in, just to remind me what we're pulling data in from so many sources. It
So
really
many sources, Experian credit score, some of your store cards, credit card data,
award company.
um, yeah, and then like obviously they can see the analytics behind what you watch.
Yeah.
So if you always watch football and no other sport, then they kind of know you're a football fan. And they can see what teams you watch and what shows you watch and so on and so forth. It's clever. It's really, really clever. And marketing doesn't have to just I think this is the one sort of misconception people have about marketing. It doesn't just have to be the sexy stuff. It doesn't have to be I'm the front of shirt sponsor for Liverpool or whoever it may be. Some of my favorite marketing tactics are the old-fashioned ones. I've never ever done a flyer drop for a client that's failed. And
Right. Well,
it's £100, 1,000 households through the front door. Never ever have I seen that fail. Um, if anyone's sponsoring something, whatever you've spent to sponsor that event, that awards, whatever, you need to spend 50% of that money again on activation,
right.
making it come alive, making it commercial so that you get a return on investment. If
Yeah.
you do sponsor something, you've got to sponsor for 3 years minimum,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the first year fails and you learn all your mistakes. The second year you start to get it right, and then the third year you really kick it into gear.
Yeah. It is a commitment, isn't it? And so,
Yeah.
if we start looking at startups and these um, entrepreneurs that come to you and they say, I've got a bit of funding now and I haven't got my own marketing department, and they get you on retainer so that you can work with them. Tell a little bit of how that works with you.
Yeah. I mean, what we tend to do the first month, we onboard the client. So we take a snapshot of where they are now. We audit their business, we audit their competitors and tell them what their competitors are spending and what they're up to. We silo their different audiences and their data and the tone of voice and all that kind of things. We then set commercial targets and objectives. So we'll hang our hat, we'll put a stake in the ground and say that's what success looks like. And some of those targets and objectives will be somewhat fluffy marketing ones, like impressions and views and all those sort of stuff. And then there'll be some real hardcore numbers, retention, new business, existing business, cross-selling. And what's really important for any business owner to remember is that marketing and sales are two very, very different things. And in my eyes, I'm the person that makes the bullets and the client is the person that fires the gun. And sometimes I have to work out whether the client is a good or a bad aim. And then we have a conversation.
Yeah.
So that's exactly how it works. And all I need to know is how the gun works, and we can work together. The more you communicate, the better the end product. Um, and marketing doesn't have to cost an absolute fortune. So once we've done that onboarding, we write a 6-month strategy and a roadmap, and then we implement it. And our retainer starts at about £1,500 a month for a startup or a charity, and then can go up to 10, 15K a month.
Yeah.
So it's relative.
Mm-hmm.
and it's bespoke and it's very targeted. But people often ask me, what differentiates you from all the other agencies that are out there? And I would say the biggest thing is that we're honest.
Mhm.
Agencies have a tendency to have porky pigs,
Mm.
and we're very straightforward. We're very honest. We say it how it is. If something's not working, we pull it.
Yeah.
Um, and we're just straight with the client. So if you are a business that has a national reach, but you don't have a national budget, you can't kid yourself that you're not going to get a return on investment, because it's like putting a pipette of lime cordial in an Olympic-sized swimming pool and wondering why you can't taste it. So you're better off condensing that, doing it locally, extrapolating it out, work out what works and what doesn't work, and then scale and grow from there, rather than just going gung-ho, Gatling gun style, trying to hit everything. And actually, you kind of hit everything you don't want.
Yeah, that's really good. I remember hearing that Deliveroo perfected their deliveries and their marketing on one street,
I can imagine.
and then somewhere in London, South
Yeah,
London,
yeah.
and then they scaled it and scaled it and
Yeah,
scaled
yeah. No different to the McDonald's founders that chalked out the kitchen on a tennis court and they kept chalking it out and chalking it out until they stopped bumping into each other, so they could be as efficient as they possibly could in the kitchen.
Oh my goodness.
So, marketing
Yeah,
is and the other thing about marketing is what works on Monday fails on Tuesday. And
yeah,
there's no rhyme or reason why that happens.
yeah,
So
yeah,
the key is consistency. And I think for me, I see people really in two camps. Either they've flogged a dead horse, they've spent a fortune, and now marketing is something that is a bit of a sore subject with them, or they did it for such a short amount of time, they were expecting, like going to the gym for one session and saying, well, I didn't lose any weight, so the gym's rubbish. It just takes time and effort and commitment.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So really, I mean, if you were a startup, you need to say, can I put 15 grand or maybe even sort of 20 grand for the year aside, give it a really good shot. I like the fact that you do this 1 month of onboarding, because I mean, it must be like coaching, because the owner must learn so much about how they are actually firing and and the conversion on sales, because sometimes marketing can be brilliant, but they've just got a major problem in how they convert.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
100%. And that's really important, because really also that onboarding piece is also clarity and sanity for the client, that they now know we understand them,
yeah, yeah, I appreciate
because
it.
that's really important. That, like for instance, we won't take a client on if we can't work out how they get paid. We won't take a client on if we don't rate the business or the product or the service, because again, if we wouldn't buy it, I'm not sure I could get other people to buy it if I don't believe in it, if that makes sense.
And when you're doing that, how rough percentage, how many of them have real clarity about what their vision is and what they're selling and how to sell it and what their message is?
10%.
10%. That doesn't surprise me.
We've had clients come to us and they said, we don't know what we sell.
Yeah,
Like, so, we're not sure if it's a CRM system, and we're not sure if we should call it a database and then when we tell them what we think it is, they go, no, you're wrong. And we're like, no, but you don't know what it is. So some people actually do not know what to call their thing that
yeah,
they've invented, or they've spent so much time surrounding themselves with what I call the three F's,
yeah,
that they are in denial. So that's friends, family, and fools. And don't ask those people your opinion, because you won't get the answer that you need.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And do you use market researchers and things like that ever?
For the right clients, we do.
Yeah,
We actually internally we have a telesales team. So we sometimes do appointment setting for clients as part of their marketing, depending on what industry and sector they're in. But we also use our telesales team to mystery shop our clients,
well, that's brilliant.
because sometimes, believe it or not, you'll call a client switchboard and no one answers the phone. And that could have been a 50 grand deal ringing up.
Yeah,
Um, and then we also use the telesales guys to do customer survey audits, where they will anonymously speak to
it's nice.
a group of customers, clients, and then ask them, 7 or 8 questions or whatever. And that insights piece is really, really
Yeah,
important.
that's really good. Because when you were talking about the conversion of sales and we were talking about that, I was thinking, I know what I'm selling, but it's taken a long while for me to really understand what people are buying. Because,
Yeah.
for our product, which is service-driven product, and many people listening might be offering services. I've got a list of features of what I think our BIPA members, yourself included, would be.
Mm.
We're selling to you. We've committed to you but you will be buying something completely different to what I think I'm selling sometimes.
Yeah, 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 100%.
Yeah,
Um, I think that's part of the customer journey as well.
yeah,
And actually, when you look at other businesses, they have tiers for their customers. But like, many, you have a gold card, a platinum card, a black card,
yeah,
but they're still all part of the same community. They're just on
yeah,
somewhat different levels or need different things.
yeah,
Um, it's part of that journey, I think. That's the exciting piece.
yeah. It is. It is. Yeah. I mean, so often we're buying on emotional reasons, aren't we? And
Actually, you know what, Penny? I think probably 85% of everything purchased on the planet has been influenced by a woman, actually, I think. Because even like, do you know what I mean? If it's not your mum, you ask your girlfriend, you'll ask one of the girls in the office, your sister, from cars to ties to, you'll always ask a woman's opinion when you come to buy something. Well, as a man, I think.
yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me a bit about the philanthropy. I know that is really important to you in terms of the values within it. And you've done a number of different community-led things. Like I know you bought a football club as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So there's been lots of things you've done because you're very community oriented, aren't you? So just give us an insight into that.
Yeah, I mean, it's always been at the heart of kind of what we do. I guess because I started the business so young, back then young entrepreneurs weren't seen as cool.
Mm.
They were almost seen as annoying things. So I was always kind of like aware that there needed to be like a yin to my yang. So on one side of the coin, you're really driven and capitalist and want to be successful and create amazing things. And yet on the other side, sometimes you can maybe forget where you started. So I would say certainly over the last 15 years or so, we've probably donated best part of £1 million to charities across Sussex.
Wow.
Um, every year we probably support 10 to 12 charities, from volunteering we sponsor probably 14 different corporate charity balls. We always sponsor the drinks reception. Um, I mentor 6 or 7 entrepreneurs, and they've been on incredible journeys.
Mm.
And that's really, really important, that sort of philanthropic side, because I was given chances when I was young and people took risks on me and all the rest of it. And I think that's really important. Also, I'm a bit of a believer in karma as well. So I like to think the more good stuff I do, the less bad stuff will happen to me.
That's
I'm not sure it works that way, but it helps me sleep.
what you mean.
So yeah, and then that kind of like ethos that then sort of infiltrates the team as well. So you create a really nice, it then infiltrates your clients.
Yeah.
So then they go on and do really exciting things from a charitable perspective with their client base. And all of a sudden, my little eco environment in Sussex is generating X amount of millions of pounds for charities because of the compounding of all of that activity going towards a sole focus of good. And for me, like, whether you support the local donkey sanctuary, the nursery, the hospice, whatever it is, philanthropy has to be done with complete and utter sincerity. And
Yeah.
if you are doing it for tax reasons or you're doing it to clear up your misdemeanors, then that's not necessarily philanthropic. It's
Yeah.
when you are literally doing it because it's the right thing to do. And I've certainly found in my career, the more philanthropic I've been, the more serendipitous life has been to me way, 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 way later on down the line. Um, you
Mm.
know, I, I won a really big contract with a university quite recently, and they were looking for new agencies. And as part of their tendering and procurement process, the agencies were interviewed by students. I
Nice.
thought that was quite interesting. And when I asked why did we win it, they said that I was the only agency that at the end of the pitch turned around to the students and said, "So have you got any questions for me? Like, how are you going to get your first job? Do you know, how are you going to get into the industry? Have you got this lined up? Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that?" And nobody else did that. So, I think that just comes from naturally wanting to help, support, and nurture people. I like seeing people start with nothing and then become something.
And is that reflected in your roots a bit?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I wasn't born, with a silver spoon in my mouth. My dad was a Kurdish refugee in the 70s. We lived in a semi-detached three-bed house, shared a bedroom with my brother. Um, and I think that kind of upbringing, um, I think it drives you to kind of want more. I remember when I bought my first house, I had my non-negotiables was a dishwasher, an ensuite, a downstairs toilet, and if I stood in the hallway, I didn't want to be able to touch both walls with both hands, you know, just because I was the first person in my family to live in a detached house,
Yeah.
So I wasn't born for, I didn't go to college, I didn't go to university, so I took a slightly different path to success, but
And
it
did you know when you were at school that you were creative?
100%.
Yeah.
Like I knew, like from the age of 14, I was doing work experience in London, traveling on the train in my holidays, working in a design agency as a T-boy. Yeah, I knew from the age of 13, 14, I was going to be a graphic designer. Uh,
But it comes across in all my conversations in the past and today that you're a problem solver. Because often people think you can only be creative by being able to draw, or but being a problem solver is a creative. And it looks to me like you sort of love this diagnosis of a company and where they want to get to and what problems they have and why aren't they getting to where they want. What have they currently been doing with their marketing? Do you feel?
100%. Problem solver slash therapist. Um, and sometimes it's really obvious, someone's got a real conundrum and they can't see the wood for the trees. You go, have you just thought about doing it like this?
Yeah.
And the penny then starts to drop. Um, I have said to a few clients in the past, if this doesn't work, sack me, because I believe that strongly that it was the right thing to do. Only once have I been sacked for that, and it didn't work. So that's fair enough, you know. Yeah,
That's
sometimes I
good.
think you have to hang your hat on it and go for it.
Yeah, it's really good. It's lovely. You've given us a hell of a lot of insights. It's very exciting talking to you. And what I love is how accessible you are. So how is it? So you've got the creative pod. So if they put
Yeah,
in creative pod, I'm sure that comes up pretty high up on your SEO.
yeah, yeah.
And you're on LinkedIn. If anybody would love to contact Matt through Thomas or I, of course, contact us. I know BIPers, our BIP members, will be really intrigued by what you've shared. And yeah, thank you so much, Matt. I don't know whether there's anything that we missed that we should have talked about. I feel that was a brilliant.
The one thing I would say to anybody actually when it comes to marketing, trust your gut. And
Yeah.
often people, will be bamboozled by agencies. They'll be hoodwinked by their internal staff. And very, very, very rarely is your gut wrong.
Mm.
So if there's something telling you, stick with it. Like believe in that gut instinct,
Yeah, yeah.
regardless of any other information you're given, because very rarely is that gut instinct wrong.
Yeah, and actually, just I know I was sort of coming to the end then, but when you said that, I think that is really important. I also imagine a lot of companies grow up from somebody starting quite junior as their company was small, and then they've grown up and they've ended up in a marketing position that's probably a little bit too senior for them. And I suppose if you come in and work with that person, there's so much they can learn, and
Yeah.
it's not like you're coming in as a
We're
boss.
not replacing them.
They're not, you're
We're
actually
supercharging them.
to get better and better at their job, which I can imagine how many companies would need that sort of support for somebody who's grown up in an organization of
Mm.
marketing.
Some of our clients, we've recruited their marketing department.
Really, yeah.
So, we've said, look, if we're going to go big and you want an internal team and an agency, well, if we help you recruit them, at least we're going to find people we know we can get on with and we can
Yeah.
work with. So that's half the problem.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And
And
it
I
builds
suppose so
trust.
many young people are being recruited for their digital skills, and just because you're young, you must be good at digital marketing.
You know what, Penny?
That's a
I
broad.
know all the words to Man in the Mirror, and I've never sold out the O2. And that is young people and marketing. They know
I
what
know.
buttons to push, but they don't know what it means from a commercial
Yeah.
perspective.
And also some of the traditional marketing still works. It doesn't have
Yes.
to all be digital.
Yes, there's a reason. There's a reason that works. And you
Yeah,
don't have to spend a fortune.
yeah. That's
What you
really,
do need to do is just leave a smile in the mind. You know,
yeah,
you don't need to spend a fortune on marketing to see
yeah,
results. Slow and steady wins the day.
yeah, yeah. And you're really invested in that from a commercial point of view, as well as, wanting the reward of knowing you've succeeded with them. Because the more successful they are, the more the retainer is going to go up.
Absolutely. And we all grow together
Yeah,
and we all have
absolutely.
fun together.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. I love the model. I love what you do. I love the thought of this Formula One November thing. So I think we should all look out for, if you don't see it on Sky or in your social media, you've
I'll
got to
take
think,
my BIP banner.
yeah, you've got to think about what the algorithm is behind you if you're not seeing Formula One tickets in the, when is that getting launched?
That'll be launched before March, so mid-April,
Brilliant.
mid-February. That'll be more launched. Yeah,
Fantastic. Well, it's a leap year this year, so
certainly
somebody could
is.
buy that as a special. That's mine. I'm a leap year baby
Are
now.
you?
I've got a
Ah,
proper birthday.
brilliant!
Oh.
Congratulations.
So thank you so much, Matt. I absolutely love that. I hope you've really enjoyed it.
I have.
Appreciate
Thank you for having
it.
me.
Oh, well, that's really kind. And I really appreciate if you've been listening into this, whether you're walking a dog, driving the car, or you've sat and watched us, we really value
Yeah.
it.
If you're still awake, let us know what you think.
Yeah, no, it's good. Thank you so much, Matt.
Brilliant. Thank you. Cheers, Penny.